Dear students, this talk will enable you to understand the basic idea what's the need of compartmentalization in eukaryotic cell and what is the significance. Now, dear students, now as we shift to actual area of the cell biology, and till now we have been studying about the various types of prokaryotic cell like the mycoplasma or the viral and subviral structure like the virions or the virions, right? So when we shift toward the actual study of the cell biology, it is essential first to understand what is cell compartmentalization. Now you know cells as tiny as they may be, they have several jobs to do and they have several compartments for that purpose in order to fulfill their needs or in order to fulfill their basic needs to remain alive or keep the organism alive. Therefore, a basic knowledge of how and why cells compartmentalize can go a long way in making us understand how cells basically work and keep the plant, animal, and human life thriving on this earth. So the cell compartmentalization basically refers to the ways the organelles in eukaryotic cells live and they are created and how they work in separate areas but in coordination within the cell in order to perform the specific functions for which the each compartment or the organelle is meant. So that is basically a sort of division of labor so that the every organelle, every compartment is created in such a way that the functions and the structural aspects of cells are distributed accordingly. So the compartmentalization happens therefore according to the cell type. If you talk of the compartmentalization in the prokaryotic cell, it is not much there. Why? Because there is just a membrane and a nucleide and the ribosomes. There are not typical cell organelles. So the compartmentalization are not much accurate. So most of the functions are performed by the cell membrane there. However, the intracellular compartments in eukaryotic cells are many are many. There is nuclear component separate, cytoplasmic component is separate, the organelle components are separate like the AR component, the Golgi component, the mitochondrial component, the chloroplast component in case of plant cells. Now, the main purpose of this compartmentalization is to boost the efficiency because the compartmentalization in eukaryotic cells is largely about the efficiency because separating the cell into different components allows the creation of specific microenvironments within the cell. That way, each organelle has the advantage because it can perform to the best of its capability. That means it is the tend towards creating an autonomous like structure within the cell. However, they don't work independently, they work in coordination, but every organelle, every compartment is given the advantage to work in its own specific micro environment. For example, you want to take a class, you want to create a separate room in our home because you cannot be in the class sharing with your siblings or with your parents. So you need a comfortable space to read or write or listen to the classes. So that way, the same thing happens to the cell. We cannot be every time in the kitchen to learn and study or teach. No, we need a separate compartment. So similarly, for every cell organelle, it needs to have a different compartment, different area, different niche, different microenvironments, so that every organelle, every compartment works to its best capability. So that means in order to boost the efficiency, the cell compartmentalization is important. Similarly, the distribution of, as I was telling you, the distribution of functions is very important. Many vital biochemical processes, they take place in different cellular compartments. For example, most of the biochemical reactions, they might have to take place on the membrane, like the cell signaling, the cell transport, the cell-cell communication. So all the functions need to be resident within the cell membrane. If it is the functions of the protein biosynthesis, so for that purpose, it is the ribosome which needs to have that all metabolic machinery. If it is the case of ATP synthesis, the energy production of the cell, so the activities need to be restricted in the in the mitochondria. If it is the secretory pathway, the synthesis of enzymes and hormones are proteinic in nature, so those functions need to be carried by the what is called as endoplasmic reticulum at the Golgi gerl complex, Golgi complex and endoplasmic reticulum plus lysosome complex के नाम से बोलते हैं. So that way it indicates us that different compartments of or different organelles result in different compartments so that the functions are distributed. So rest of the things you will come to know from the other two voice lectures I'll be providing to you, plus the text material I will be posting. So combining all these things, we will be in a position to basically understand in a better way what is cell compartment, why does it occur, and what is its immediate significance for an eukaryotic cell, mostly because in prokaryotes least compartmentalization takes place. And our next topic for tomorrow shall be the cell membrane and its permeability.